The sun was just beginning to crest over the jagged peaks of the Afghan mountains as we made our final approach back to the temple. In the soft morning light, the ancient structure appeared as a silent sentinel, guarding secrets that had forever changed us. As we trekked closer, the air was filled with a palpable sense of anticipation, mixed with an undercurrent of apprehension. We had left the temple transformed, carrying with us the echoes of ancient wisdom and haunting memories. Yet, there was a pull, an unspoken need to return, to uncover more of its enigmatic truths. The temple, with its ever-whispering guardian, had left an indelible mark on our souls. As we reached the temple's entrance, something felt different. The walls, which once stood stoic and unyielding, now seemed to undulate subtly, as if breathing. The carvings and symbols, relics of a bygone era, shimmered faintly under the touch of the rising sun, hinting at a dormant power stirring within. Cautiously, we entered the temple. The familiar corridors and chambers greeted us, but there was a sense of change in the air, like the quiet before a storm. The shadows danced more playfully along the walls, and the silence was deeper, almost expectant. Our first indication that the temple had transformed came swiftly. A corridor that I remembered as straight and narrow now twisted and turned, leading us into a part of the temple we had never seen. The walls here were adorned with frescoes depicting scenes of daily life from an era long forgotten. It was as if the temple had expanded, revealing secrets that had been hidden for centuries. The further we ventured, the more the temple seemed to come alive around us. Passageways opened where there were none before. Rooms expanded and contracted, disorienting our senses. The air was thick with the scent of ancient incense, and a low hum, like a chant, seemed to emanate from the very stones beneath our feet. It was in one of these newly formed chambers that we encountered our first true test. The room was a perfect replica of a village square, one that resonated with a deep familiarity. As I stepped closer, the air shimmered, and the scene came to life. I found myself standing in the midst of a market, people in traditional Afghan attire milling around me, unaware of my presence. It was a vivid echo of the past, so real I could almost touch it. Then, without warning, the peaceful scene erupted into chaos. The sound of gunfire rang out, and the people around me scattered in terror. I was back in a memory, one of my first missions, a memory I had fought hard to bury. My heart raced, and I struggled to remind myself that this was just an echo, a trick of the temple. As quickly as it had come, the vision faded, leaving us in the now empty chamber, our breaths heavy, our minds reeling. We realized then that the temple was not just expanding in physical form, it was delving deeper into our minds, unearthing memories and fears we thought we had left behind. We gathered ourselves, a silent agreement passing between us. We needed to explore further, to understand the true nature of this expansion. But one thing was clear: the temple had awoken, and its secrets were no longer dormant. The temple's corridors twisted before us like a maze, each turn revealing new mysteries. The air was heavy with the scent of age, the whispers of the past almost tangible. We moved cautiously, aware that the temple was no longer just a structure of stone and ancient rites, but a living entity, capable of revealing and concealing at its whim. Our journey led us deeper into the heart of the temple, where the walls themselves seemed to pulse with a life of their own. We stumbled upon a chamber, vast and echoing, lined with statues of forgotten deities and warriors in mid-battle. It was as if we had stepped into a frozen moment of history, a snapshot of a time long past. Without warning, the chamber shifted. The statues came to life, their stone surfaces melting away to reveal flesh and blood. We found ourselves in the midst of an ancient battle, the air filled with the clang of swords and the cries of warriors. It was disorienting, the line between reality and illusion blurred by the temple's magic. In the chaos, we were separated. I found myself alone, navigating through the spectral fight, each step taking me further away from my team. The battle around me played out like a dance of death, a hauntingly beautiful yet terrifying spectacle. I stumbled through what seemed like an endless war, each corner of the chamber revealing a different scene from Afghanistan's tumultuous history. From the invasion of Alexander the Great to the wars of modern times, the temple held it all within its walls. After what felt like hours, the visions dissipated as suddenly as they had appeared. I found myself in a quiet, dimly lit corridor, the sounds of battle echoing in my ears like a distant dream. I was alone, my team members nowhere in sight. The separation was a tactical nightmare. We were trained to operate as a unit, and this unplanned division could spell disaster. I activated my radio, attempting to contact the others, but the temple seemed to swallow the signal, leaving me in a void of silence. Determined to regroup, I pressed on, the temple's corridors winding before me like a serpent. As I walked, the walls whispered secrets of the ages, voices of the past calling out from the stone. It was a symphony of history, both beautiful and overwhelming. I finally emerged into a large chamber, its ceiling lost in shadow. In its center stood an altar, upon which lay a series of ancient manuscripts and relics. The air here was still, as if this place were the eye of the storm that raged within the temple. It was here, in this chamber of secrets, that I decided to wait for the others. The temple was a puzzle, a labyrinth of time and memory, and we needed to be together to unravel its mysteries. As I sat, the weight of our mission pressed down upon me. The temple was not just expanding its walls, it was expanding our understanding of the world, revealing truths that were as daunting as they were wondrous. We were no longer just soldiers on a mission. We had become explorers on the brink of a discovery that could change everything. In the hushed stillness of the chamber, my solitude weighed heavily. The temple's whispers had faded into silence, leaving a sense of foreboding in the air. I realized then that our journey into the temple's heart was more than a physical challenge. It was a test of our resolve, our very understanding of reality. As I waited, the faint sound of footsteps echoed through the corridors. Relief washed over me, thinking my team had returned, but what emerged from the shadows was far from familiar. Towering figures, clad in ancient armor, their eyes glowing with an ethereal light, stood at the chamber's entrance. The guardians of the temple had awakened. Instinctively, I reached for my weapon, but a voice inside me urged restraint. These were not enemies to be fought with bullets. They were part of the temple's mystery, its ancient protectors. As they approached, I stood my ground, my heart racing with a mix of fear and awe. The guardians moved with a grace that belied their imposing stature, encircling the altar where I stood. They spoke in a language unknown to me, their voices a chorus of ages past. Yet somehow, their meaning was clear. We were intruders here, and our presence had disturbed the sanctity of their domain. I attempted to communicate, to explain our purpose, but words seemed inadequate. It was then that the temple itself intervened. The walls shimmered, and images appeared, scenes from our journey thus far. The temple was telling our story, justifying our presence. The guardians watched, their expressions unchanging. As the last image faded, a tense silence filled the chamber. Then, unexpectedly, the guardians stepped back, offering a silent concession. We were permitted to continue, but their watchful eyes reminded us that we were being tested. With the guardians' departure, my team members began to return, each with their own tale of surreal encounters and narrow escapes. We were reunited but changed, each of us touched by the temple's ancient magic. Our reunion was cut short by the discovery of a new chamber, revealed by the shifting walls of the temple. This chamber housed artifacts that seemed out of place in the temple's ancient setting, objects that radiated power and beckoned with an unspoken promise. Approaching the artifacts, we felt a surge of energy, a pulsing beat like the heart of the temple itself. Each item was unique, a dagger emitting a cold light, a scroll inscribed with glowing runes, a jewel that pulsed with an inner fire. The temptation to harness their power was overwhelming, but a sense of danger held us back. These were not mere relics. They were conduits of the temple's mysterious energy, and to use them could invite consequences beyond our understanding. We made the decision to document but not disturb the artifacts. The temple had allowed us passage, but we were not to exploit its secrets. Our mission was to understand, not to plunder. As we left the chamber, the temple seemed to acknowledge our choice. The corridors realigned, guiding us deeper into its heart. We were being led somewhere, to a purpose yet unknown, a truth that lay hidden in the temple's ever-expanding depths. The journey was far from over, and the temple, with its ancient guardians and mystical artifacts, was just beginning to reveal its true power. Our path through the temple continued, each step taking us deeper into the unknown. The temple's constant transformation was disorienting, yet there was an undeniable pattern to its changes, a rhythm that we were beginning to understand. It was during this exploration that we noticed something extraordinary about Jackson, one of our team members. He seemed to intuitively predict the temple's shifts, guiding us through its labyrinth with an uncanny accuracy. His connection to the temple had become evident, a symbiotic link that was both fascinating and unnerving. As we progressed, Jackson's behavior became increasingly erratic. He would pause, his eyes distant, as if listening to a voice we couldn't hear. It was clear the temple was communicating with him, guiding him, but at what cost? His moments of lucidity were diminishing, and the strain on him was palpable. Our journey led us to the entrance of a submerged section of the temple. The walls here were lined with intricate carvings of mythical sea creatures, foreshadowing the dangers that lay ahead. With no other path to take, we prepared to delve into the temple's watery depths. The flooded crypts were like nothing we had ever seen. The water was unnaturally clear, revealing an underwater maze of arches and chambers. We navigated through the submerged ruins, our movements slow and deliberate in the water's embrace. In these crypts, we encountered creatures of legend. Serpentine beings glided through the water, their scales shimmering in the dim light. We were intruders in their realm, and they watched us with curious ease, a silent challenge in their gaze. Navigating the crypts was a surreal experience, a dance with ancient creatures in a hall of echoes. The water distorted sounds, making the temple's whispers seem like a distant dream. We were in a world between worlds, the boundary between past and present blurred. Throughout our underwater journey, Jackson's connection to the temple guided us. He led us to a chamber, hidden away in the crypt's heart. There, etched on the walls, were carvings that told the story of the temple's creation, its purpose entwined with the ebb and flow of time. As we emerged from the water, the temple shifted once more, opening a path to previously unseen corridors. It was clear that our journey was far from over. The temple had secrets yet to reveal, and Jackson's link to it was our key to unlocking them. We pressed on, aware that the temple was not just a relic of the past, but a living entity with a will of its own. It had chosen us, for reasons we were yet to understand. As we ventured deeper into its heart, we knew that the challenges ahead would test us in ways we could never have imagined. The newfound corridors of the temple twisted and turned in labyrinthine complexity. With each step, the walls seemed to breathe and shift, as if alive with the pulse of an ancient heart. Our reliance on Jackson's intuition deepened, his connection to the temple our only guide through this ever-changing maze. In this part of the temple, the air was thick with the weight of history, each stone whispering tales of forgotten ages. The path before us was fraught with dangers, not just the physical perils of the structure, but something more sinister. The temple was testing us, challenging our resolve with its ancient traps. Our first encounter with these traps came without warning. A series of tiles on the floor, innocuous in appearance, triggered a cascade of arrows from hidden slots in the walls. We threw ourselves to the ground, narrowly avoiding the deadly barrage. It was a stark reminder that the temple, for all its mystical allure, was a fortress, protecting its secrets with lethal intent. The traps grew more complex, more cunning. We navigated through rooms where the slightest misstep could mean disaster. walls lined with spikes, floors that gave way to bottomless pits, ceilings that threatened to crush use. Each challenge required precision and teamwork. Our military training pushed it to its limits. As we overcame each trap, the temple seemed to respond, its corridors shifting with grudging respect. It was as if we were earning our passage, proving our worthiness to delve deeper into its sacred heart. In one chamber, we encountered a guardian, more formidable than any we had seen. A towering statue, armed with a sword and shield, sprang to life at our approach. Its movements were fluid, almost human, as it advanced with calculated precision. The battle was intense, a clash of modern warfare against ancient might. We maneuvered around the guardian, our gunfire echoing through the chamber. It was Jackson who found the way to defeat it. Guided by his connection to the temple, he directed us to target specific symbols carved into the guardian's armor. With each successful hit, the guardian slowed, until it finally crumbled to dust before us. Breathing heavily, we took a moment to regroup. The encounter had been a close call, a reminder that the temple held power beyond our understanding. Yet, there was a sense of accomplishment among us, a feeling that we were part of something greater than ourselves. With each step, the temple revealed more of its mysteries, but also more of its dangers. We were trapped in a maze of both wonder and peril, a test of not just our physical abilities, but our mental resilience. As we prepared to move forward, the temple shifted once again, opening a passage that led deeper into its bowels. We knew that what lay ahead would be the greatest challenge yet. The temple was no longer just a structure of stone. It was a journey through time and memory, a journey that we had no choice but to complete. The passage opened into an expanse that was both awe-inspiring and daunting. Before us lay the vast, submerged heart of the temple, an underwater realm that held the secrets we sought, shrouded in darkness and mystery. Equipped with our diving gear, we descended into the cool, clear waters. The light from our torches cut through the darkness, revealing an intricate network of submerged archways and corridors. It was a silent, otherworldly domain, where the only sound was the rhythmic echo of our breathing apparatus. The underwater crypts were like a maze, their walls adorned with carvings of mythical beings and ancient battles. As we navigated this submerged labyrinth, we encountered creatures of legend, beings that seemed to belong more to the realm of myth than reality. Serpentine entities, their scales glistening in the torchlight, watched us with eyes that held an intelligence and a wariness. These creatures kept their distance, but their presence was a constant reminder that we were intruders in a world not our own. We moved carefully, respecting their domain, aware that a wrong move could turn these silent observers into formidable adversaries. Our exploration led us to a chamber that was different from the rest. It was here, in this hidden sanctum, that the water's flow seemed to converge. The walls of the chamber were lined with intricate mosaics depicting the temple in its full glory, a story of its creation and purpose woven in stone and tile. In the center of the chamber lay a pedestal, upon which rested an artifact unlike any we had seen, a crystalline orb, pulsating with a light that seemed to emanate from within. Drawn to its beauty and power, we approached with a mix of reverence and caution. As Jackson reached out to touch the orb, the chamber reacted. The mosaics on the walls came to life, revealing scenes of the temple's history, its construction, the rituals performed within its walls, and the rise and fall of the civilization that built it. It was a tapestry of time, a visual symphony of the temple's past. But the tranquility of this revelation was short-lived. Disturbed by our presence, the chamber began to collapse. Walls cracked, sending plumes of sediment swirling around us, obscuring our vision. The creatures of the deep, startled by the disturbance, swirled around us in a dance of confusion and fear. In a desperate bid for escape, we navigated through the crumbling chamber, dodging falling debris and avoiding the disoriented creatures. It was a frantic race against time, our path to safety obscured by the chaos. Emerging from the water, we gasped for breath, the reality of our near escape setting in. The temple had revealed a part of its history, but not without reminding us of the peril inherent in our quest. As we regrouped, the temple shifted once again, its corridors rearranging, as if to guide us to our next destination. We were closer to uncovering its secrets, but at what cost? The temple was a guardian of history, a keeper of ancient mysteries, and it would not yield its secrets easily. Our journey was far from over, and the path ahead promised even greater challenges. Emerging from the underwater crypts, we were met with a palpable change in the atmosphere of the temple. The air was charged with an energy that seemed to hum with anticipation, as if the temple itself was aware of our approach to its innermost sanctum. As we ventured deeper, guided by the temple's ever-shifting corridors, we felt a growing sense of unity with our surroundings. It was as if the temple had begun to recognize us, not as intruders, but as participants in its ancient narrative. Our journey led us to what we instinctively knew to be the heart of the temple. A grand chamber, vast and awe-inspiring, lay before us. Its walls were covered in intricate bas-reliefs depicting the cosmos, with a large ornate dial at the center, a puzzle that beckoned to be solved. The puzzle was a complex array of symbols and mechanisms, a lock that guarded the deepest secrets of the temple. As we studied it, Jackson's connection to the temple became our guiding force. He moved with a certainty that was both startling and mesmerizing, his actions seemingly guided by an unseen hand. Working together, we began to unravel the puzzle. Each piece we moved resonated through the chamber, a chorus of stone and echo. The task required not just physical effort, but an understanding of the temple's history and its place in the world. As the final piece clicked into place, the chamber trembled. The dial began to turn, its movement slow and deliberate. The walls of the chamber illuminated, revealing a celestial map that depicted the stars as they were millennia ago. In that moment of revelation, the temple's purpose became clear. It was not just a structure of worship or a tomb of kings. It was a gateway, a bridge between the earthly realm and the cosmos. The temple was a keeper of time, a custodian of the universe's deepest mysteries. But with this revelation came a warning. The chamber began to collapse, the temple reacting to the unlocking of its heart. We had uncovered its secret, but in doing so, we had disturbed a delicate balance. The escape from the chamber was a race against time. Stones fell around us. The ground shook with the fury of 1,000 years. We ran, guided by the dimming lights of the celestial map, the temple's corridors twisting and turning in response to the chaos. As we emerged from the heart of the temple, the structure began to stabilize. The shaking subsided, and the air cleared. We stood there, panting and disheveled, in the quiet aftermath. We had uncovered the temple's heart, but the experience had left us with more questions than answers. The temple was a part of something greater, a piece in a cosmic puzzle that spanned beyond our understanding. As we made our way back to the surface, we knew that our journey had changed us. We were no longer just soldiers on a mission. We were keepers of a secret that was as ancient as the stars themselves. The temple's expansion had been a journey not just through space, but through time and understanding. And though we had emerged victorious, the echo of its whispers would stay with us, a constant reminder of the wonders and dangers of the unknown. The return to the temple's surface was a journey marked by reflection and a profound sense of change. We moved through the corridors, no longer just a team of soldiers, but custodians of a secret that stretched back to the dawn of civilization. The temple, with its shifting walls and ancient whispers, had become a part of us. As we emerged into the daylight, the stark contrast between the ancient world we had just left and the modern world we were returning to was jarring. The temple, now quiet and still, seemed to watch us leave, its secrets sealed once again within its walls. We gathered outside, beneath the vast expanse of the Afghan sky. There was a sense of accomplishment, but also a deep, unspoken understanding that what we had experienced would forever alter our perception of the world. The temple had challenged us, tested our limits, and revealed truths that went beyond our initial comprehension. Jackson, whose connection to the temple had been our guiding light, seemed the most affected. The experience had left him with a sense of detachment, as if part of him remained behind in those ancient halls. We knew that the bond he had formed with the temple was something that would need time and care to understand fully. As we prepared to leave the site, we knew that our report back to command would have to be carefully considered. How could we explain the unexplainable? The expansion of the temple, its guardians, the underwater crypts, and the cosmic revelations were experiences that defied conventional understanding. Our journey back to base was quiet, each of us lost in our thoughts, processing the events that had unfolded. We had gone into the temple seeking knowledge, but what we found was a deeper understanding of the mysteries of the universe and our place within it. In the days that followed, our experience at the temple became a bond that held us together. We shared our story with those who would listen, but the truth of what we discovered remained our own. The temple's secrets were not ours to reveal. They were a part of history, a chapter in the story of humanity that was yet to be fully understood. The temple's expansion had been more than a physical phenomenon. It was a journey of the soul, a test of our courage and our willingness to face the unknown. We had stood at the crossroads of history and time, and though we had returned to our world, a part of us would always remain in those ancient halls, whispering with the echoes of the past. As I look back on our experience, I am reminded of the vastness of our world and the mysteries that lie hidden within it. The temple in the Afghan mountains may be a remote and forgotten place, but the secrets it holds are a reminder of the wonders that await those who dare to seek them. Our story is but a small piece in the grand tapestry of history, a reminder that the journey of discovery is never truly over.